Following on the heels of their bestseller, The Babylon Bee Guide to Wokeness, now comes The Babylon Bee Guide to Democracy. Now, I was a big fan of the guide to wokeness. I found the book to be humorous throughout. I found the satire to be sharp. The book was timely, and wokeness deserved to be ridiculed for the insanity of their views and the philosophy of the woke and what it does to society at large. And now the question is, does the guide to democracy measure up in terms of humor, timeliness, and can the Babylon Bee deliver on a subject that, while it provides plenty of source material, it doesn't lend itself to satire quite as easily as the woke? Does the Babylon Bee have another hit on their hands with the Guide to Democracy? While this book doesn't quite live up to the level of the Guide to Wokeness, I don't think I laughed out loud as many times reading this book as the previous one. At the same time, I would say this is still a worthy sequel, one that I think could, maybe actually should, sell even more copies if you're going to take my advice. Welcome to Rev Reads, your home for book reviews from the perspective of a pastor. If you're new to the channel and you want to discover more eye-opening and at times controversial books, please subscribe to the channel to stay up to date with the most current reviews. If you're a regular to the channel, please like and share this video. A little thumbs up, a share on your own social media goes a long way in helping others to discover how to flawlessly rig elections, bribe your politicians, and crush your political enemies, but always for the sake of good. First, this book could not be any timelier. Between now and the end of this year, this book will be the ideal complement to most everything that you will see on the news as it relates to politics. When we have a president who is tweeting out the single word on Twitter, democracy, with no context at all. Mr. President, is democracy good? Is it bad? What do you mean by democracy? Will you still love democracy if your party loses half of its seats in the next election? Why are you just simply talking about the concept of democracy? In this climate and with the language of politics today, it's time for someone like the Bee to come in and explain democracy. Maybe poke a little bit of fun at it in order to bring a little humor to what the talking heads are claiming will be the end of the world. As in the book on page 143 it says, "Did you know? Experts have found that every election you participate in is the most important election in the history of the universe, and that if your side loses, it is the end of democracy as we know it." And they also need to use a little humor in order to draw out how bankrupt our own government is when it comes to the morality of our leaders and their ability to direct the lives of people in this country. The chapter in this book on the corporate branch of government should be enjoyed by people on both the left and the right side of the aisle, bringing out how corporations are manipulating the system in their favors through large donations and all of their lobbyists. Also, the chapter on destroying your political opponent's stupid faces, that chapter should be really convicting to a lot of us. Eye-opening on how so many of us have mocked and argued with friends and family members online, and how we allow our political differences to destroy our friendships, to cause a rift in our families, and we are gaining nothing from these petty arguments and debates. I found this book actually to be a little bit more insightful than I might have expected it to be. The Bee is definitely just as quick to mock and use satire against MAGA Republicans as they are against woke progressives. And we're all the better for them going after both sides of the aisle. And I think this book is only going to become more funny as we go through the upcoming election cycle. My favorite part in this book was pages 148 and 149. In those pages, the book has a political insult generator. So you're supposed to roll a couple of die 4 times in order to create your own political insult. I did it, and the insult for my political opponent would be, "You lying, four-eyed, vegan sizzler manager." But my favorite part wasn't my own political insight I have now to use to crush my political opponents, but it was on the next page when they gave a couple of example results that you could get from the generator. And one of their example results was lion dog-faced pony soldier. And they wrote, but that insult would probably never be used in real life. Which then made me say, oh, someone must have used this in real life. And I couldn't remember any time in the news cycle when that insult occurred, and I couldn't decide who would be more likely to use that insult, President Trump or President Biden. So I looked it up online and found this.
You ever been to a caucus? No, you haven't. You're a lion, dog-faced pony soldier. You said you were, but you're...
So Biden called a female voter a lion, dog-faced pony soldier. I never knew that. It's funny to hear, and it's also crazy that this wasn't a massive story following that insult. But here's the thing about The Guide to Democracy, and that is this book, it looks really good. The illustrations are fantastic throughout. Whoever did the design on this book was fantastic. They should get a special gold star from the Babylon Bee. If you do purchase this book, get the print version. It will be worth it over the digital version that comes out. And for all of you who have diehard Republicans, those passionate Trump families, or the crazy libertarian in your family. You know, you might have that uncle who hangs the Trump flag in his front yard, or maybe the dad who always loves watching Tucker Carlson every night, or the sister who secretly finds Greg Gutfeld as her favorite comedian on TV. Or you just have that wacky libertarian cousin. Well, the Babylon Bee's Guide to Democracy, this is the perfect Christmas present for them. So if you don't know what to get for Christmas for that relative who is totally into politics on an almost obsessive level, preferably on the right side of the aisle or a libertarian, because I don't think the progressives will get the humor in this book, although there's a lot of humor in this book that they should appreciate. I think this is the ideal gift for the person who's really into politics. So I'm here doing your Christmas shopping for you. You could pick up a couple of these books and probably knock some people off your Christmas list. But I really recommend the Babylon Bee Guide to Democracy. I found it to be enjoyable throughout. I laughed out loud on several occasions. There were points where I was like, going to my wife, you gotta hear this part. It just had some wonderful good moments in it. And there were also some points that kind of cut a little deep at my own behavior as a result of our political circus today. So get yourself a copy of the Babylon Bee Guide to Democracy today.